All right, welcome to Bet the Edge. I'm Jay Croucher here with Drew Dinsick. I'm fresh off a Golf Channel hit. That's why I'm wearing makeup and my hair is elevated. Drew, we're going to keep the golf momentum going. Today, we're going to talk everything about the Masters. We're going to bring in John Maginnes to help us handicap everything, and then we'll close with our best bets. But firstly, Drew, how are you? How'd you enjoy last night?
You know what? The Celtics covered the 2.5. Jaylen Brown no-showed on us, which was annoying because the Celtics, I think, win that game going away if he plays. And then the MVP race is over. But here we go. We get another couple months of this. The Warriors came through in flying colors in the second half, which was extremely enjoyable. And I am now kind of very firmly fixing my attention to coming up with fair prices for series because the Western Conference, different permutations of who we could get matched up are going to be unbelievable. But I'm going to put all that aside because it is Masters Eve. This is a special day. It's a special weekend. And honestly, this looks like a really competitive field. I've had to talk myself out of about 5-10 guys, and that leaves me with 10 guys I like. So I'm still in a spot where I'm not sure how I'm going to fill out the rest of my futures portfolio outside of what I've already got staked on Rory. So I'm excited to talk to John and get his perspective on this.
Yes. All right. Well, we've got plenty of time to talk Suns, Warriors, and the difficult side of the Western Conference bracket. But for now, let's welcome in former PGA golfer John Maginnes. John, thank you for joining us. Let's get straight into it and let's talk about the weather, which is at the forefront of everyone's mind, I think, expecting it to bucket down. How do you think the weather is going to affect play and the outcome of the tournament?
Well, first and foremost, those guys that go to meteorological school, they don't send the best and the brightest to Augusta. So we're not 100% sure we believe anything they're telling us. But let's assume that they're getting it right. They're going to play golf in the rain. They just can't play golf when it's thundering and lightning, when it's not safe. So I think that's going to be a big factor. The golf course is going to play very long. And you think, okay, well, we need to go with a bomber. I disagree with that. I think you need to go with a guy with a great wedge game. And you need to think Zach Johnson and Trevor Immelman rather than Dustin Johnson, because this is a golf course where wedge play is so important when you can't reach the par fives. And I think that opens up the field. It makes it a very enticing week. For those of us that have to be outdoors, it's a little daunting. But for the rest of us, it's an enticing week.
Well, a couple of key points there. They're only going to stop play if it's thunderstorms, which means that at least the expectation among the kind of handicappers that I talk to who are getting big time money down on this event, they're expecting an advantage for the guys who tee off late on Thursday and early on Friday, because presumably they get in on their second round before things get especially nasty. And the guys that are late in round two, they could get dragged into the situation where maybe they're playing on Saturday, maybe they're playing later on Saturday, maybe they try them again on Saturday before ultimately they finish their rounds on Sunday. So it's the potential for a little bit of a kind of taking these guys out of their routine a bit, which can impact players. So I would circle the guys at the end of the end of the schedule on Friday and give them some second looks as far as, are these guys realistically going to make the cut? Are they going to win their matchups? Because that's, I think, where the only advantage lies now if you believe in the weather angle. John, let me ask you the most important question of the week, though. Who is your NBA MVP right now? No, I'm just kidding. We're not talking NBA MVP today. The big important question of the week, I think, really revolves around golfers who are now reentering the PGA Tour golfers. In fact, you can expect from playing a less competitive set of events in the run-up to the Masters compared to the PGA Tour guys who this year are playing much more competitive golf. Like, there's a little bit of a rust versus rust type of conversation here, and what to expect from them in terms of form and performance. Do you have a general opinion on how this is going to break?
I thought it was interesting. Cam Smith said last year he played 4 events leading up to the Masters in the calendar year, and he's played 4 events this year. Of course, last year, one of those included winning the Players, which he wasn't in this year. Yeah. So he did play around the corner at the Yards on Saturday, Players Week. Look, I mean, the guys that are playing well are going to continue to play well. Brooks Koepka is going to be a factor because he won last week. But guys who were hoping to play their way into form over the last month on the LIV Tour are at a serious disadvantage. Cam Smith happens to be one of those players who says, I'm just not playing the way I want to play. But I do feel like DJ's playing well. DJ's not smart enough to know where he's playing. It doesn't matter. He's a ball, hole, hit. That's what DJ does. So I think DJ will be playing the way that he plays. I think Brooks will be playing the way that he plays. I think some of the lesser known guys on the LIV Tour, like Taylor Gooch and some of those guys coming in here are at a disadvantage. I don't think we're going to see any surprises from, I hate to say it, one of my favorite players on the planet, from Harold Varner this week.
Yep, that makes sense. Let's jump into some of these 3-ball matchup markets and start with Xander Schauffele, Tiger Woods, and Viktor Hovland. Xander, the favorite out of these three. Tiger, plus 250, an underdog. John, what are you expecting from Tiger this week? Because that is certainly going to be the marquee watch.
Tiger's been cagey about his game, hasn't he? He's answered every question, but he hasn't told you, man, I'm just struggling. I wish I had played. He's not saying any of those things. He's saying all that he said about his game so far is, I'm more prepared this year than I was last year. Mm-hmm. At plus 250, I love Tiger. I mean, obviously, either one of the other guys could go out and shoot 10 under the first 2 rounds. But at plus 250, I'm loving Tiger.
Yeah, I mean, Xander Schauffele hasn't been in perfect health this season. He's played a lot of golf. He hasn't really impressed you. And I think Viktor Hovland, with his struggles around the green, could find himself in a little bit of trouble considering the conditions. Because if it's, and these guys, by the way, fall into the category of they're expected to play late on Friday. And if you have high swirling winds at 20 miles an hour on your approach shots, you're going to need a good around the green game to clean it up. Hovland does not have that. So that's an interesting angle on Woods there, as he could be kind of maybe the only guy of those three that makes the cut. I think that's probably given Schauffele a little bit of a short shrift, but at the price, that's a fun one. How about the other guys going late on Friday that are in the featured group of Cam Young, Justin Thomas, and Jon Rahm? And I guess in a separate question, but sort of similar vein, what is your opinion of Jon Rahm among favorite status as a big three here? Do you think that that's fair, or do you think he is reeling a little bit from some of the injuries he's been carrying lately?
If he feels well, Jon Rahm is the best player in the game, but he hasn't felt well lately, has he? Rory McIlroy should then take that mantle, but he hasn't played very well lately. I think that's an interesting one. I think Justin Thomas has the guts to win here. I think he has the game to win here. The only iffy point with him over the last couple of years has been those 4-footers, and the 4-footers at Augusta are tough because most of them are outside the hole. You have to feel the ball into the hole, and that speaks to his artistry. And so I like Justin Thomas an awful lot this week if he gets off to a good start. Jon Rahm, I mean, if he could go win the golf tournament by 5 shots, and nobody's going to be the least bit surprised. But I just don't have that feeling about him this week. Do you? I mean, it just doesn't feel like a Jon Rahm week to me. In that group, I'm going with Justin Thomas. Yeah,
I mean, with Rahm, it's really been the past 6 weeks since he won the Genesis where he just hasn't been right. And I think the concern would be that it's been a different thing each time that's been wrong. He struggled off the tee, and then he struggled putting, and then he struggled with his irons. So just doesn't seem like he's all the way there right now. But obviously, to your point, John, if he does pull it together, he is the best golfer in the world. One more of these 3-ball markets I want to hit is Tommy Fleetwood, Tony Finau, and Jordan Spieth. Spieth is the favorite, narrowly in front of Finau. I think Spieth is always compelling at these tournaments because he's got as much upside as anyone, and obviously has a very good track record at the Masters, having won it in 2015. I think the course is relatively suited to his game as well, where typically Augusta has forgiven driving accuracy, which has been Spieth's issue forever, that he can't hit fairways. What do you think of Spieth this week, John, and in this group?
It's a good one. First of all, shout out to Tommy Fleetwood. I saw he and his family last night at the TaylorMade party. Steak and lobster they were serving, by the way. Really good. Spieth lost Bay Hill because he missed 3 putts inside 8 feet coming down the stretch.
Yeah.
Spieth lost in Tampa because he couldn't hit the fairway coming down the stretch. Spieth doesn't generally miss 8-footers these days, so we'll give him a pass at Bay Hill. There's no rough coming down the stretch for him to hit it in this week and get himself out of sorts. I think Spieth is a sleeper. I think the interesting part of this matchup is, and not to completely discount Tommy Fleetwood, but Tony Finau's due for one of these. Tony Finau is too good of a player to not be a bigger factor in the majors. And I think it's interesting because his career trajectory is kind of like Tommy Fleetwood's was 5 years ago, in that he keeps getting himself in contention but can't push the ball all the way up the hill. Well, now Tony Finau started winning golf tournaments. Then if I had to pick in this group, I'm going with Tony over Jordan reluctantly, just because he's so good. He has no downside in his game, except for the fact that he doesn't putt great. But these 8-footers and 10-footers out here are hard anyway. Nobody putts them brilliantly, and he's going to make his fair share.
Yep.
I'm starting to feel that way. Yeah. And I'm starting to agree with that too. I don't have any exposure to Tony Finau having a great week, and it's making me nervous. I missed the best of prices in the futures market. He's now been bet down into the top 7, wow. Which is still, there's a lot of people with a lot of confidence that he's going to pop here. And I'm starting to now stare at this 3-ball as like a way to get a little bit of plus money exposure on him, because I tend to agree with you. He's a guy that you always tap for a first round leader at Augusta. He's like been in contention almost every time he's been here early in the tournament. So him putting together a spectacular day one seems entirely likely. So let's grab a little Tony in that 3-ball matchup.
Yep. I like that. All right, before we get into the top of the board, a reminder to download the RotoWorld app to receive breaking player news all season long. Stay ahead of the competition by favoriting players on your roster. Get the latest injury updates, player news, and much more delivered right to your phone. It's available in the App Store today. All right, John, PointsBet, they're offering a market of basically you get the top 3 favorites or you get the field. And so Scheffler, McIlroy, or Rahm to win the Masters is plus 190, and the field is minus 275. Who do you like in that matchup?
I mean, I'm taking the plus money, even though I don't think it's a smart bet. But you feel like an idiot if you don't. You know, I look at the 3 guys we're talking about. Any one of them could win this golf tournament. So, to me, betting the field against those guys at minus 275, that you're just giving away too much to me. Then again, I'm not very good at this. Did I mention that? I tend to lose money every week in golf.
This does feel like a McIlroy versus Scheffler. This is really a big 2. A lot of folks we talked to, because what we mentioned, Rahm's is a little out of sorts, and you don't necessarily want to be coming into this tournament not feeling your best physically. So the idea of just singling Rory and Scheffler in the outright markets and then skipping on the plus 190 probably gets you a little, just basically betting against Rahm, is I think probably the more direct angle of attack there. Between Scheffler or McIlroy, do you have a horse?
I'd love to see Rory win this tournament, complete the career Grand Slam, all of those things. I've felt the same way about Ernie Els for years. Davis Love. I just don't know that Rory is meant to be a Masters champion. Scottie Scheffler, in his defenses this year, has been brilliant. This is his 4th defensive title. He won a title. He threw a Players in there for the fun of it. He made it to the Final 4 at the match play, which he won last year. Scottie Scheffler is the quietest number 1 player in the world, the quietest favorite in Masters memory at, what is he, plus 700, plus 650. It's bouncing around, and nobody's talking about him. Give me all the Scottie Scheffler I can get. Everybody else's feet are going to be slipping out there in the rain. His already slipped. He's good to go.
Yeah, I think Scotty's finished top 12 in his past 10 starts, which seems impossible, but that's just what he does. Looking further down the board, John, any long shots you like? Any Zach Johnson 600 to 1? Brooks Koepka 40 to 1?
Is Corey Connors considered a long shot? Because he has three consecutive top tens here, and he won last week. So is he a long shot? Probably not, but I would take me some Corey Connors from out of the pack for sure.
Yep, good 50 to 1 on Corey Connors. That counts as a long shot. That's approved. I'm calling that. All right, John, thank you so much for joining us. I'll let you get back to it out in Augusta. Can you let people know where to follow you on social media and what you're working on this week?
John Maginnes on Twitter, just my name. If you can spell it, you can find me. I'm doing the Sirius XM coverage this week. My show is Croucher and McGinnis on Tap. We're on 4 to 6 on PGA Tour Radio weekdays. And then this week, Mike Tirico on the weekend is going to say, down to 16 and John Maginnis. How cool is that? At which point I'm going to say Tiger Woods on the tee. This is an 8-iron, ball in the air, and call golf at Augusta National live from the ground with Mike Tirico sending it down to me. How cool is that?
That's not bad at all, John. And we definitely appreciate you taking the time to come chat with us. Enjoy the week out there, and best of luck.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy the Masters.
Cool. All right. Before we get to some of our own Masters bets, a reminder that you can get the RotoWorld Draft Guide bundle today and dominate your football, baseball, and basketball drafts, packed with profiles, rankings, projections. Order today and get all 3 RotoWorld Draft Guides for the price of 2, plus use promo code BERRY and save an extra 20% at checkout. All right. Favorite Masters bet, Drew. What do you got?
Oh my goodness, Jay, where to start? This is so hard. So I took some swings. I took some swings on the wave advantage angle. I'm against Cam Smith in 4 matchups where he not only is, as he's stated, not only is he not playing great golf, not playing with a lot of confidence right now, he is at a wave disadvantage against Max Homa, Colin Morikawa, Jason Day, and Dustin Johnson. So I'm against Cam Smith in all 4 of those. I'm against Cam Young in 3 matchups, Max Homa, Jason Day, and Dustin Johnson. Surprisingly, those are some of my best odds because Cam Young is a heavy favorite. Not sure what exactly Cam Young has done to warrant that kind of status of, just a general rating at Augusta. He's played 2 rounds of golf here, and they were miserable rounds of golf. So if Cam Young has a huge weekend, you're going to find me in a ditch on Tuesday morning when this wraps up on Monday, probably. The other players that I'm generally against, I'm against Taylor Gooch. I'm against Tyrrell Hatton. I'm against Zalatoris, and I'm against Xander Schauffele. So those are kind of the big general head-to-head bets and stakes that I have in the accounts. The best advice I can give you is definitely plan your weekend accordingly, knowing that there's probably not going to be golf on Saturday, or if there is, it's not going to be worth watching because it's going to be a mess. So if you're going to spend time with the wife and kids, do it on Saturday. And actually, the real best advice I can give you is don't schedule any meetings for Monday. At least no important meetings for Monday, ones that you can't, just kind of push off or blow off, because I have a feeling we're going to get a Monday finish here at this tournament. But after all that is said, favorite bet on the board, I'm riding Rory McIlroy to win this one outright. And there's actually an interesting way to kind of protect yourself from a surprise, which is they just have him grouped with the top guys in Group A. Scheffler, McIlroy, Rahm, and Cantlay are all put together in a group there. I'm not expecting Cantlay to do much in this tournament. I'm against him in a couple matchups. We already talked about Rahm, so I look at this pretty much as Scheffler versus McIlroy, and you're getting McIlroy at plus 250. So that's the best bet on the board in Group A at PointsBet.
Okay, riding with Rory. My best bet on the board, in keeping with the theme of fading my fellow Australians, I'm taking Dustin Johnson head-to-head to beat Jason Day over the 72 holes. I think that just the live aspect creates a lot of variance, more so than usual. just makes things a bit more complicated. And I think that Dustin Johnson, with the form that he's shown lately, he was good in Orlando leading up to this, and also, he has a good record at the Masters, finishing 12th last year, and then obviously won it a couple of years ago. So I think that Dustin Johnson, he should be able to edge out Jason Day. Jason Day hasn't made the cut at the Masters in 4 years. So sorry, Jason. Like you a lot, but you're going down to the DJ to this weekend. So give me Dustin Johnson minus 110. It's an underdog to Jason Day in this matchup. So to close out, Drew, anything in the association tonight? Now that we're done chatting golf.
Everything in the association tonight, Jay. I'm going to have 0 credit, 0 balance at basically every book for the next couple of days, because that's the way it goes this time of year. But these are the teams that are at a huge rest disadvantage, and really just in general, expecting some tired legs and some tired basketball players out there on the court. The biggest and the most obvious, and this is almost doesn't feel fair to be able to bet this. And I'm sorry on your behalf, because this does not help your Oklahoma City Thunder in there again going forward. But the Dallas Mavericks are probably going to win by 30 points against the Kings. The Kings clinch, and the Kings come in with an absolute against their super red number in terms of fatigue. Dallas is at home, they're rested. Dallas is the side there. I like the Clippers against the Lakers as well. That's a 4.5. I think that should be 6. So laying the chalk in the 2 late games with the Mavericks and the Clippers. Outside of those 2, your other tired teams in the NBA are the Memphis Grizzlies, the Chicago Bulls, the Toronto Raptors against the Celtics. That's not a good spot for the Raptors. And that kind of rounds it out there. So going to be an interesting night. A lot of home teams on my card, and in general, ready for the regular season. Put a bow on this puppy. How about you?
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I'm very concerned about OKC. It really looked like they might be able to do it last night when they're up 10 at half. I think they were minus 150 live, and then Steph Curry started happening, much to my chagrin. It was a tough watch after midnight. I put all my lot in with OKC because I knew that I would be waking up in the night to deal with kids. But I'm going to stay up past midnight just to see if Oklahoma City could lock this up. And it was a miserable experience. But them's the breaks.
If only someone had warned you, Jay.
That
one was not a good spot.
I had some faith in Shea, but he did not get it done. In terms of the games tonight, what I would say is that, we're at the point of the season now where it's just pointless to try and analyze if this team is better than this team or whatever. It's just all about being able to forecast incentive and who's going to be available to play. So when I look down the board and who is going to be available to play, I would be very concerned about the Knicks suddenly just resting Jalen Brunson and pulling something like that, because they are locked into the 5 seed. They have nothing to play for, and they're playing at Indiana. Miles Turner's questionable, so just something to monitor there. The Raptors Celtics, I'm not sure if the Celtics are going to be playing Tatum, Horford, Smart, these guys. So that I think will balance out a bit against the Raptors being in a really tough rest spot. Marcus Smart said he was dealing with a pinched nerve. Tatum, the Celtics have nothing to play for now. They're not going to get the 1 seed. The Bucks just need to win one of their last 3 games and it's over. So that's just something to monitor as the kind of the beat reporting starts to trickle out. To your point, the Kings, after clinching the division last night, they got nothing to play for, really. The 2 seed is vaguely there, but I don't think they're going to get that. It seems like Dallas should be able to win that with ease. And then the Lakers Clippers, which I think is the wonkiest line on the board right now. This is Lakers plus 4.5. That's not a real line. The line just cannot close 4.5. It's going to go one way or the other, depending on whether Anthony Davis and LeBron are ruled in or not. And they're uncertain. AD, a couple of weeks ago, he chose this game with the Lakers staff as the one back-to-back he would be allowed to play. Don't think they were banking on playing in overtime in altitude last night, though, which might mess with that. So I think that game against Utah, which was kind of a fantastic game,
it was.
That going to overtime might really screw the Lakers, because they were up 10 with 70 seconds left, and somehow the game goes to overtime, and they're pushing until the last second of overtime because it's so close and they need the win. So I would be a little bit concerned, particularly with the Warriors winning last night, that maybe the Lakers, they just punt the game and focus on health and know that, the six, like they're going to be in trouble to get a top 6 seed in any case. And I mean, I know it's right there, but at the same time, if they get 7, they're such heavy favorites to be able to get into the playoffs with 2 home games at that point. And then also locks you into the 2-7, 3-6 side of the bracket, which, you definitely want to be a part of. So I don't know. I think there's a good chance they rest their guys and that line gets even bigger. What do you think of Lakers Clippers?
Yeah, I agree with you. I laid the 4.5. I actually took some alt lines there because I think that could get into the 10 range as we get surprised. Everybody's sitting. Yeah, same with the Kings Mavericks. Like that number could go double digits when we get all the information. So I think it's worth swinging on the home favorites there. Just based exactly on your point. And the other kind of you mentioned be concerned you wouldn't lay it with the Knicks against the Pacers, and I agree. But you still have the great Emmanuel Quickly. He's going to play, and that might be enough to cover. Might be enough to cover 8.5 against the Pacers. So, nope, down to 7. Something just happened as we were talking. So that must have been the Brunson news. Just like hit the wire within minutes of just saying
right on top. Yeah, we kind of check what's going on while we're doing that. One thing, Jalen Brunson ruled out injury maintenance. There you go. Well, right on cue. I think one thing to just be mindful of as well with the NBA as we get to the end of the season is that you're going to see a lot of awards markets fluctuate in price, and it's not real. It's people who are concerned about their positions, normally just panicking and then selling off. Like Malcolm Brogdon's price has collapsed in the market the past 2 days when all he's done is he scored 18 points last night on 7 of 16, didn't close the game, and they lost. So you can't actually price rapidly firm off of that. That's people who have Emmanuel Quickly positions at 100 to 1 who are panicked and buying Brogdon just at any price to lock in a profit, which is not smart. But people want to lock in a profit. Same thing with Defensive Player of the Year. Like Brook Lopez gets lit up last night, but has 5 blocks. And so the market firms Brook Lopez, despite them giving up 128 points to the Washington Wizards, who've got no players, and their defensive rating now looking like it might fall to 4th. Like that's just not a rational market movement at all. I don't know what is going on with the most improved player market. I think the prices there are just completely wrong. So that is just something to be mindful of, that, don't be concerned about market movements because these are not liquid markets. Outside of MVP is a little bit more liquid just because there's so much more attention on it and more people bet into it, but still it's not that liquid. It's not very reliable. So I would just be mindful of that.
Have you basically positioned yourself where you have positive equity on the book on the MVP market and you give up, you don't care anymore? That's kind of the strategy, right?
We talked about it for months. For literally like 3 months, we talked about how the 2 bets on the board were Jokic and Embiid, and they were both like 15 to 1 or bigger for a long, long time. And then I think in the last couple of weeks, we came around to Giannis being a bet. And I will go to my grave thinking that if the Celtics had drawn up a play last night in the last play for Jason Tatum to hit a 3 instead of a fading away long 2, and Tatum hits that shot, I think Giannis wins MVP. Because all of a sudden the Embiid game gets diluted by somehow blowing a 7-point lead with 9 seconds left or whatever it was, ridiculous. And I'll also go to my grave thinking that if Giannis had just beaten Boston as a 2.5-point favorite and then beaten Embiid as he did, that he would have had a very good chance to win MVP. But I will sleep well knowing that that Embiid is likely going to win MVP now. If Giannis puts up 40 tonight against Chicago, I think that it will be at least a race again. Embiid will still be favorite, but I think it will give people something to think about. And I'm putting a line through Nikola Jokic after last night's events.
Are there a couple of Western Conference matchups that you're especially excited to handicap?
Yeah, I want Denver Lakers in round 1. So I think that the Nuggets will destroy them. And I think that'll be like a Brooklyn Boston situation from last year, not as drastic, but where Brooklyn opened like a -140 favorite, which is just completely ridiculous. And then it flipped by the time game 1 started. But I think people are very much inflating the Lakers and not realizing that once it gets to the playoffs, the Nuggets should get a lot better, not worse, because they're going to be able to shorten their rotation and get rid of Thomas Bryant and Canchar and these kind of guys who are just weighing the team down. So I would love to be able to get. I think there's a chance it might be like Nuggets minus 150 or something, and I think that would be ludicrous. I think they're much better than the Lakers, and having home court, I would love to see that. But anything that you're looking forward to?
I feel like the Warriors and the Grizzlies are on a collision course for the 2 versus 6 in round 2, and that's what maybe I'm the most excited for matchup wise. But I think ultimately so far everything that has happened in the last week seems to be helping the Nuggets and the Grizzlies. I feel like. Which is maybe what the basketball guys wanted, right? Yes, there's going to be imbalance in the Western Conference brackets broadly because the 3-6 matchup is going to be such an advantage for the 6. But that looks like that's probably going to be Golden State, who are going to be a tough playoff out. And so it's, if Golden State ends up in the 5, then we're having a different conversation. If it's Suns Warriors round 1, boy, oh boy, that will be fun to handicap every which way. And that will be just an awesome series. Lot of, I don't know if you know this, but a lot of history between, Chris Paul and Steph Curry and, Kevin Durant and the city of San Francisco. So, quite a lot of, you don't want to see that?
That'll be fun. I mean, I don't agree with it, but I mean, there's a chance that those are the 2 best teams in the West and maybe have the 2 highest ceilings of anyone. I would still put Milwaukee and Boston above both of them, but certainly they'll be right there. So that would be fun. And to think that there is a pretty good chance that it's going to be 1 Denver, 4 Phoenix, 5 Golden State, 8 Lakers. You could make an argument that those are the 4 best teams in the West, and they're all on the one side of the bracket. I think Memphis are better than the Lakers, but certainly the 1, 4, 5. I think those are probably the 3 best teams. What do you think the market opens Denver against the Lakers in a series price?
People love the Lakers. They love LeBron in the playoffs, but Nuggets home, Nuggets altitude. Jokic and AD, a little bit of probably Nuggets minus 190, I think is where we open.
I think that's about right. Yeah. I think that sounds right. And I think the Nuggets would be a bet at that price personally.
You think they should be like minus 400?
Yeah. I think that's a big mismatch. And also, I think that reading into matchups and how teams theoretically match up against each other is a little fraught with peril. I think it's more descriptive in retrospect than predictive going forward. Like everyone thought that Damian Lillard would light up Nikola Jokic in Jokic's first playoff run. Lillard had his worst series ever, and then they played again, and Lillard had one of his best series ever. Everyone thought that Boston would be the best team imaginable to be able to contain Steph Curry, and Steph Curry had one of his greatest series of all time. It's very difficult to project that, and I know that everyone thinks that Philly's an amazing matchup against Milwaukee and then a terrible matchup against Boston. Maybe, but let's see it play out. That stuff matters a little bit, but not enough to, I think, materially swing prices. At the same time, theoretically, Jokic is a pretty good matchup against the Lakers because they don't really have the shooting or the off-the-dribble shooting to really expose him the way that Steph and Curry can, or Booker, Paul, and Durant can theoretically. So I think the Nuggets would roll the Lakers. I think that would be 4-1 or 4-2. I would be surprised if that got to a game 7. But Anthony Davis, even more so than LeBron James, when he's playing at this level, is pretty terrifying. So I wouldn't write them off, but I would be betting the Nuggets at minus 190.
Yeah. I still think Grizzlies is best bet on the board in the West for lots of reasons. I kind of teased it already, but it feels like we're going to get Warriors, Kings in the 3-6. And I feel somewhat strongly about that just because the Warriors are somewhat predictable about when they win and they lose. It's just kind of when they're home and when they're on the road. But that 3-6 matchup, Golden State opens minus 200-ish against the Kings in that series. What do you think? More?
Yeah, well, I mean, if they're at full strength, probably more, honestly. What are those games going to be? It's going to be Golden State minus 8.5 at home and minus 2.5 in Sacramento, that type of swing. It's going to be pretty severe, I would have thought. So Yeah, that would be honestly a bit of a downer if that's the series. I want to see Phoenix Golden State, and then I want to see Denver Lakers, and then Denver Phoenix. That's what I want, and then I want the Grizzlies to win the West because that's where all my money is. And the Grizzlies are definitely looming. And if it can break so that it's 3-6, if it's 3-6 Sacramento Clippers, and then the Grizzlies get the 2-7 against really whoever, I don't really care at that point. It'd probably be the Lakers, but it could also be the Wolves. It really does all of a sudden line up for Memphis. Yeah, the T-Wolves are coming.
Okay.
All right. Well, a lot of time to chat NBA. But now we'll turn our minds to the Masters, which is coming up. Thanks again to John Maginnes for joining us. Don't forget to check out NBCSportsEdge.com for more information to help you with your wagers. Thanks, everyone, watching on the NBC Sports YouTube channel, and please subscribe and rate us if you're listening in podcast form. From Jay Croucher and Drew Dinsick, we'll see you tomorrow.